The sun was a blazing ball of fury, casting harsh shadows across the cracked earth. Danny and Lila trudged forward, their water bottles nearly empty, the heat pressing down on them like a suffocating blanket. They had been lost in the desert wasteland for 3 days now, their GPS useless and their spirits dwindling with each step. This part of the desert wasn't on any map, an expanse of sand and stone that seemed to stretch infinitely in every direction. "I swear we've passed that rock before," Danny muttered, wiping sweat from his brow. Lila glanced at him, her eyes filled with a mix of exhaustion and fear. "Just keep moving. We'll find something," she replied, though her voice lacked conviction. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the desert in an eerie twilight, the temperature plummeted. They set up a makeshift camp, huddling close for warmth. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the occasional whisper of the wind. I think we're being watched," Lila whispered, her eyes darting around the darkening landscape. Danny shook his head, trying to dismiss the creeping paranoia. "Just nerves. This place can play tricks on you." But as the night deepened, strange figures began to appear at the edge of their vision. Wisps of movement, shadows that seemed to flicker in and out of existence. Danny thought he saw the silhouette of a man standing in the distance, but when he blinked, it was gone. "Did you see that?" Lila's voice was trembling now. "Yeah," Danny admitted, his heart pounding in his chest. "We need to stay alert." Sleep was impossible. The desert seemed to come alive around them, the shifting sands whispering secrets and the stars above feeling like a million watchful eyes. As dawn approached, the figures grew bolder. They no longer lingered at the periphery. They approached with a silent menace. By morning, Danny and Lila were exhausted, their eyes bloodshot and their nerves frayed. The spirits were clear now, ghostly apparitions with hollow eyes and sunken faces. They moved with a slow, deliberate grace, their forms shimmering in the growing light. "We need to find water," Danny said, his voice hoarse, "or we're not going to make it." They packed up and continued their trek, the spirits following closely. The wasteland was an endless, desolate expanse, but as they stumbled over a dune, they saw something that made their hearts leap, a glimmering oasis in the distance. "Do you see that?" Lila gasped. "Water." They broke into a desperate run, the spirits still trailing them. As they drew closer, the oasis seemed to shimmer, almost too perfect. But they were beyond caring. Their parched throats and cracked lips drove them forward. When they reached the oasis, they collapsed by the water's edge, scooping handfuls of the cool liquid to their mouths. It was the sweetest thing they had ever tasted, but as they drank, the spirits circled around them, their hollow eyes fixed on the travelers. "Why are they just watching us?" Lila whispered, her voice trembling. Danny shook his head, a sense of unease settling over him. "I don't know, but I don't like it." As they sat by the water trying to regain their strength, one of the spirits stepped forward. It was a woman, her face gaunt, and her eyes filled with sorrow. "Why are you here?" she asked, her voice a haunting whisper that seemed to echo in their minds. "We're lost," Danny replied. "We were looking for a way out of the desert." The spirit nodded slowly. "We were like you once, lost, desperate. We found this oasis, but it was a trap, a curse." Lila's eyes widened in horror. "What do you mean?" The spirit gestured to the others. "We are bound to this place, forever searching for the water that will never truly quench our thirst. The oasis is a mirage, a cruel joke played by the desert itself." Danny and Lila exchanged terrified glances. "But we drank the water," Danny said, his voice shaking. The spirit nodded sadly. "Yes, and now you are bound here as well. The desert has claimed you." As the realization sank in, the oasis around them began to fade, revealing the barren wasteland once more. The water turned to dust in their mouths, the cool relief replaced by a burning thirst that could never be sated. "No!" Lila screamed, but it was too late. The spirits closed in, their eyes filled with a sorrowful understanding. "We will wander together," the spirit woman said, her voice a mournful whisper, "until the end of time." Danny and Lila felt their bodies growing lighter, their forms beginning to shimmer like the spirits around them. The desert had claimed 2 more souls, adding them to its collection of the lost and the damned. As the sun rose high in the sky, the wasteland stretched out in every direction, an endless expanse of sand and sorrow. The spirits continued their eternal search for water, a reminder of the desert's cruel and unyielding nature. And now among them were 2 new travelers, forever lost in the thirst of the wasteland.